we're doing our top 3 best comeuppance in the movies. Welcome to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. Thank you so much to both our audio podcast and our YouTube viewers for joining us. I am Brody, and I am joined by Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
And the Watson of this Baker Street, Charlie Hickman.
So, which one of you is Holmes then? And is there is the other Lestrade or Mycroft?
I guess I would be Sherlock, and then
I'd be Mrs.
Wow.
Hudson.
yes, exactly.
Some
Nailed it.
tea, gentlemen, tea.
Well, I feel like maybe that's more of a compliment to you, but on we go.
No, Watson was like the one who was like doing all the stuff. He was the
Less
cool one.
intelligent and didn't solve the crimes. Got it. No, I got it. I got a limp. Though,
No, Charlie.
hey, it was from the war. It's okay. We can talk about it. It's all right. All right. Anyway, on we go.
All right. Well, if you haven't already, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed. That way you can come back here every Wednesday to hang out with us and have some fun. Because, like I said, this is top 3 movie comeuppance. These people had it coming, whatever they had coming. Because not all of them have to end in death, right? Sometimes they don't have to end in death. Yeah. No, not all mine do.
All of mine end in death.
No, comeuppance, by definition, does not need to end in death.
I actually had a hard time narrowing this down. I had one that was actually in my list in the slideshow, and then I changed it. So
Really?
I'll have to mention that at the end. So there's a little something to look forward to. You got to stick around to the end to see what almost made my list but didn't.
It will shock you.
All right. How did you guys do with this list? Was this an easy one? Was it a hard one? Was it hard?
It was challenging. It was hard. I mean,
Yeah.
these really broad, open-ended ones are always a little trickier. Require a little bit more brain work than your top 3 Schwarzenegger films or something. Where there's like a finite amount of things to pick from.
This one was your idea, though.
It was, and I'll talk a little bit more about my scientific process when I start my list.
Okay, I think for you, Charlie, it's probably like you threw out an idea, and I was like, "Yep, it's going on the schedule," and you're like, "Wait, I like it. We're running with it. I haven't thought this through." Tudong, how about you? How was this list for you?
Yeah, no, it wasn't easy. I had to figure out ones that were satisfying ends and things that were particularly bad comeuppances. None of this just they got embarrassed. No, that's not enough. No, it has to make some sense.
Okay. There was some, I gotta say this before we start. There was some that I feel like I have locked in my brain that I was trying to dig them out so much. And I know for a fact that there are some that I am missing that are probably on you guys' list. And I'm probably going to be like, how did I not think of that? But like, I've been racking my brain for like a week just trying to think of like, okay, who like had something bad happen to him that really had it coming. So I wound up with this list. So hopefully this is satisfactory.
Nice.
All right, so we are going Charlie, Dylan, and then myself. Charlie,
all right. So
what's your number 3?
Whenever we do these kind of broad, open-ended ones, I kind of have to force myself into some kind of criteria, like locking in some kind of margins or rules that don't apply to your guys' lists. just so I don't, because I'm a chronic overthinker. Just so I don't spend a month just lost in a trail of like, but who deserved it more? And what I realized is I was kind of like getting it because when I first suggested this to you, I was picturing Joffrey and how satisfying it was that he was no longer on the show from Game of Thrones when he finally left. Just a character who was both evil and then just also so annoying that I just couldn't wait for him to not be on the show anymore. But then you guys, of course, allergic to television, so it had to be movies. Which
no, the TV one is a different episode. We can split it up between 2 episodes.
Well, spoiler alert: Joffrey might make an appearance on my list. So I decided I got these 5 or 6 movies with like these villains, these evil people who finally like really meet a violent end, and then I completely changed my mind. I was like, you know what? those evil people didn't get punished enough. It wasn't satisfying enough. I'm going a completely different direction, and I'm
Oh,
going full youth nostalgia. Let me take you back in a
Oh,
time machine to an era when movies had that special magic because you didn't know what was going to happen.
sure.
When I was a kid, there was a certain kind of investment that I would find myself in with characters, with the heroes of these films, with movies, because I didn't know that the good guys were going to win. I didn't know. It was a genuine, like, anxiousness or anxiety about watching these climaxes play out in films because I'm invested in the characters and the story, and I just don't know that what's going to happen. You get older, you kind of start to see some of the formulas and things like that. So my number three is from a movie that I probably watched more than any other movie as a kid, not because it was great, but because it was simply on television every year. And it's from the movie A Christmas Story. And our hero Ralphie is just at his wits
Nice.
end. This bully has just been on his case. The incomparable Zach Ward playing Scott, I believe was his first name, Farkas, and just bullying the kids in town. Everyone's afraid of him, and then he's like, and I just started to burn inside, and he just leaps on him and just starts pummeling him. And when I was a kid, this was so satisfying because they really did just a fine bullies in the '80s. They really did a good job of making you just. William Zabka is a national treasure. They did a great job making you hate the bullies.
They
And so
did.
just seeing little Ralphie who gets, it's just the whole movie's poor Ralphie's just trying to be happy, and then even at the end when he's happy, he shoots his own eye out. He doesn't really quite get there, but for a brief moment, he's standing up for himself. He's pummeling the bully. Little Toady comes up. Toady gets shoved into the snow. It was a fun scene, and it was one that every time I saw it when I was a kid, I was like, "Yeah, take that, bully." So, my number three, Farkas.
Nice.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
That is a good
And
one.
he died. And then he died.
And then he died. He got beaten to
And
death.
then he died. Beat
Yikes!
beat him to death.
Wow, the Christmas Story took a very dark turn all of a sudden. I didn't
Yeah,
It's
realize
a
it was
dark
such a
go watch
dark.
the
movie.
sequel. He's just getting out of prison. It's a terrible. All right, on we go.
All right, Tudong, what's your number three?
My number 3, you don't actually see it, but I always like to imagine that it was really, really bad, and I always wanted him to have this, and I'm sure you've got this on your list as well, probably much higher than on this list, bro. But my number 3 is Carter Burke from Aliens getting it from an actual alien.
That's
It
a good one.
He decides to put everybody else out, and hopefully they get eaten or he can whatever it is, and then he comes face to face with it, and he's just like, I'd love to have seen him actually get eaten, but the fear alone and the anticipation is truly terrible. And I love seeing this whole thing with him just coming face to face with it, and it's having none of it. It's like, I'm gonna eat you right now. And basically, this is all you really see, sadly, in the whole thing. But I really like the look on his face when he actually runs into it, and I'm like, so this is another one of those from youth and childhood where I was like, "Oh, come on, let's see him get torn in half. Let's see him have like a chest burst or something." But either way, it was. I always appreciated his comeuppance right here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good one.
this is not on my list, but I will say this: if you watch the deleted scenes, he is in a deleted scene where he's in like the cocoon thing at the
Ooh,
end before
yeah.
Ripley takes the flamethrower and torches
She's like,
everything.
I don't need to burn him. He could just go ahead and suffer.
Yeah.
Flamethrower, by the way, is what a terrible way to put people out of their misery. Let's burn them because that's going to be very quick, by the way. Exceedingly quick. It's not quick, folks, and it's not painless. It's a terrible way to put somebody out of their misery. It's like stabbing them in the stomach. It's like, here, this will help. It's like, no,
Yeah, but
it's
like
not
like
going to
with a
help.
like a dull spoon, just like no, no, we'll get there. We're gonna get there.
Oh, oof. No,
Yeah.
this is a good pick. I thought about putting it on, but like I
Good
said, I had
shot,
to narrow
bro.
it down. Had to narrow it down.
Brody famously hates alien films. So what do you got at your number three, Mister Mysterious?
All right, so my number three, and I could probably bring the picture up. I'm wondering if you guys would even know who this is by the picture. So his name is
Oh, I know who
Douglas.
that is.
His name
That's
is
from
Douglas,
T2.
and
T2.
and you may recognize him from this.
Yeah, yeah. Gross.
And I remember watching this as a kid and just being creeped out.
Yeah.
And he he's doing this stuff, and this is one of those cases where like he doesn't have a whole lot of screen time. He doesn't have a whole lot of lines, which almost makes it worse because it's like, what else is this fella doing? We see him beat up Sarah Connor to like give her the medications, and like, he's just horrible. And so then when Sarah Connor kind of breaks free and has that stick and just pummels this guy and like hits him square in the face, and then after he falls hits him like 3 or 4 more times in the back of the head and like the neck area. I don't know if he died, but he was really messed up if he didn't, because man, she let him have it. And this, it was so like, yes, like that was kind of the first like in T2 where Sarah Connor's like lashing out. We see this
Yeah.
creepo and she just lets him have it, and you're like, yes, she's so cool. Like, give it to him. So, yeah, this was like the first one that I thought of is frickin' Douglas. That's his name, Douglas. I think Sarah
Okay.
Connor even calls him Dougie at one point. But
Freaking Douglas.
freaking Douglas, man. Yeah,
This is a great pick.
what a creep. It just,
Very
I mean, even this picture, you're like, no,
your glasses and your hair. Ah,
This
no,
guy.
no.
Get
This
rid of him,
this
please.
guy needs a comeuppance. So there's my number 3, Douglas from T2. I'm
yeah.
glad you guys both knew that. I was like, I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna see if they even recognize this guy.
Gotta get up much earlier in the morning to fool both of us, bro.
I'm just glad you pivoted from one. We went from one James Cameron to a different one, so that was satisfying.
There you go.
Uh,
There you go.
fun fact: when we were younger, Brody decided that wet willies were no longer enough of a torture to people. So he invented something called the wet fill, where much like Douglas, he would take his tongue and then he would lick both hands and then come up behind you and just go
He
right
did,
down your
bro.
face.
He did.
Did I? Are you making that
I don't know
up?
if you
Because
I don't know if you invented or just perfected it, but it was a horrifically wonderful thing.
wait, did I really do that? Or are you making that up? Because I
I'm
have
not saying only you did it. I'm saying
I
that we had a weird friend group in the late '90s.
I have no memory of that whatsoever.
All
Like
right, well,
zero
Really,
memory.
stick in
give
my
that
memory.
special someone in your life a wet fill.
That's all
All
right.
right, so
I was Charlie. Speaking of that, I was watching a video the other day, and you were spitting on a girl's hair.
no, I've never spat in a girl's hair, but I did every now and then used to do a very dry, like wind, with no actual spit. That's just right. But no, never, please never spit on people. It's quite gross. So anyway,
Sure.
now that we've gotten our saliva talk out of the way, Brody's favorite band from the '90s, we
Heck
move on
yeah,
to my number
saliva's
two.
awesome.
I know you loved yeah, Papa
Click,
Roach.
click,
All right,
boom.
anyways, Puddle of Mud. All right, so my number 2 is along the same vein as my number 1.
Okay.
Satisfying moments from my childhood where I was rooting hard for an underdog hero and they kind of like came through in a moment that like filled my little tiny heart with an enthusiasm and a joy. Back in my fist pump days, where you might actually catch me pumping a fist and going, "Yeah!" And so my number 2 is also from the '80s and also features one of the world class villains of the '80s. It's from the movie Back to the Future, where we've got Biff just being, and what a tremendous job. If you guys ever get a chance, you could pause this video now and you can search up Tom Wilson who plays Biff.
Yeah.
He also does like comedy, and he has this great routine where he has a guitar and he sings about all the questions that people ask him about Back to the Future, and it's absolutely hilarious and delightful, and includes talking about Crispin Glover ever so briefly, and it is well worth your time. So make sure you search that up. Tom Wilson, actor who played Biff. Uh, and he's really nice, which is great because in the movie, what a jerk.
Yeah.
And this scene, of course, where George McFly, crumples up the fist. Hey, you, get your damn hands off of her. And then, and then the punch heard round the world and spin, and the fates and destinies of the McFlys are changed forever. uh, this was like an exciting moment for me, and I may have like like my kids like to bounce while they do things. We have these Pilates
Yeah,
balls,
they do.
uh, and whether they're playing video games or watching TV, they're just kind of like always in motion. They're never still. And I'm like, "Oh, that's so weird." But then if I really think back to, like, my childhood, I didn't have a Pilates ball, but this is the type of stuff where I'd just be just jumping up and down, "Yeah!" And then I practice my fist curl and my swing, even though, Crispin's going lefty there for some reason. But, what a great movie and what a fun comeuppance. And then he proceeds to get more and more comeuppance as the movies roll on. So you pick your favorite, manure-filled, punch-filled, whatever comeuppance and, enjoy it because it's fun. It's fun. It is fun.
Nice.
Wow.
This is a good one. I also thought about this one. This one's just a classic one. Just classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
All right.
Classic.
Tudong, what's your number two?
My number two can be summed up in one sentence, and that's "See you at the party, Richter." Or "See you at the party, Richter." Because Richter, who just
Oof.
cannot in any possible way do anything right. He irritates our main hero. He irritates his wife. He irritates his boss. All of them are like, "You probably destroyed everything." And he is just a jerk. And then he's all like, "See you at the party." Boom! And he punches Schwarzenegger. And this callback, I loved it. And this is a horrible, horrible way to die.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
only are his arms literally, like, not ripped off, smashed off, and then he falls without arms down, what, hundreds of feet, which is a terrible way to die. And of course, at the very end, he has to hear, "See you at the party, Richter," which I thought was fantastic. I love this death. This is a gruesome film, a gruesome death, and it's bad. I decided to go much worse with their comeuppances, so each one is worse than the last.
This is a good one. There's actually a few good comeuppance in this particular movie.
Yeah, I
Uh,
almost put Benny in mine
Ooh, yeah.
because
I
Benny
almost put the
was
main bad
horrible,
guy
and
exploding.
Benny also gets my favorite Schwarzenegger quote where he kills him with the drill while yelling "Screw you."
By the way, fun fact, Brody decided to text me this out of nowhere, and I was just like, "Is Brody mad at me? Why would he say this to me out of nowhere? What did I do?" And then after that, he just is always like, "Screw you," and I'm like, "Screw you too, I guess." I'm Brody.
Dylan once sent me an Amazon package that had a card that he paid for to have it wrapped, and I opened it up the card and it just said "Screw you." It was amazing.
Was it
All right.
was Velos the leader of Mars too? That also gets like shot out onto like the surface of Mars, and then you see his face kind of like
Yeah, the bad guy, the main bad guy gets shot right out. Yeah.
that's a good one too. That movie's all you like comeuppance. Go watch the
Oh,
original Total Recall.
so
Oh
good.
yeah.
So good.
Very shockingly violent.
Yeah, it is. All right. My number two is for a character that just has like zero redeeming qualities. The whole movie, he's horrible. He kills the hero's family, he kills his dad, he just he's hitting on his sister. He's a horrible person, and then
Um,
he gets a comeuppance. And that's Commodus, who's just
yeah.
the whole movie is just a horrible, horrible person. He stabs uh uh Maximus like right before the last fight to kind of give him an edge. And then at the end has like the knife, and it's so neat the way that they did it and the way that they filmed it, because he comes at Russell Crowe with the knife, and Russell Crowe just like grabs his arm. And then Commodus just starts like punching, and it was
Right.
in one of the punches that like he threw himself forward while Russell Crowe just like stabbed him right in the neck. And you just watch him like die right in Russell Crowe's arms. And you're like, I'm so glad that this guy is dead. On behalf of all of Rome, I am glad that Commodus is dead, because he's just a horrible, horrible person. I remember watching this for the first time back in 99, 2000, whenever it came out, and just like relief, right? Like, okay, he's gone. Now Rome can like go back to whatever they were doing. But just yeah, just horrible.
Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix plays a good. I'd like to punch that guy in the face. Like
He
he does a
really
good job
does. He really
playing that
does.
character.
And this
I'll say this though, when he talks to his dad in the beginning, when he's all like saying how like, "Oh yeah, you're not gonna be, the next ruler," and he's
yeah.
talking to him, like, I gotta admit, like, he really makes you feel for him. I was just like, because I mean, I'm not saying that the character was redeemable, but wow, the pathos he put into that monologue when he's talking about how he's trying to be a good son, I was like, oh, geez, River Phoenix, you put so much more into this than almost anybody else in this movie.
And you can feel like a fraction of like sadness for him. But then like a moment later he's killing his dad by just
Yeah, that's true.
suffocating him with a hug. And then
Like,
he's just horrible. Just a horrible, horrible person.
Yes, that's how every father dreams of going. So, uh,
My son hugs me to
hugged to
death.
death by your children. Birdie, is your number one also featuring a tongue? You are there's like
yeah,
a theme that's brewing in your list. I hope your number one also involves licking or saliva or just a guy with his tongue out. So
I do actually.
We'll
so
see.
my number one just continues along my theme of scrolling through my childhood nostalgia and finding movies that just brought sheer joy through the triumph of my the heroic character, the character I'm rooting for the whole movie, and their nemesis, their arch rival. And really no movie brought that to life more than my number one. And I vividly remember the first time I ever saw this. So I was homesick from school, and I just, I had nothing to do. I'm sick. I'm stuck at home. I got the old TV on. We had HBO, which you guys know if you've seen any of our movies we watched too young. A lot of a lot of unsupervised movie time. And this movie comes on. I never seen it, and so I'm just watching it and fully engrossed, fully engrossed. And I'm sick. I'm at death's door. And then, but by the end of the movie, I'm like literally leaping off my couch and pulling off this move to supreme perfection, and that of
Okay.
course is the crane kick from Karate Kid, because my
Ah,
goodness, this movie
this
just
is
like
a good
lit me
one.
on fire. And the whole movie, Zabka's such a good bully from the '80s, just such a perfect bully. But him and his whole dojo just bullying and just being like all around jerks. And you get poor Larusso in the finals, and you're just rooting hard for the underdog, and then they take that sweep the leg, Johnny. And my man, my little heart's pounding. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think, is he gonna die? Is he gonna die? What's he gonna do? It's like, is Miyagi gonna have to go in there and like scoop up his dead body and carry him home? And then he starts doing the crane kick. And you're like, oh my god, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do the crane kick. He's gonna do it. No way, he's not gonna do it. And he does the crane kick. You're like, yeah. And man, I'm flying off the couch. I'm doing crane kicks around the room. I'm throwing pillows up and I'm crane kicking them in the air. My mom's like, oh, it looks like you're feeling better. I'm like, yeah. So,
Mom, did you
this
just
is
see what he did?
he crane kicked him in the face, mom. Yeah, my mom was not interested in the Karate Kid. But anyway, so this was my number one, and just a really fun like moment in a really like a fun movie where just like the bad guy really got not just the loss but the shame that went along
Yeah.
with the loss. So it was like there was like layers to it. I know there's people reading in, maybe Larusso wasn't the nicest guy. Nowadays we're retconning history of the Karate Kid, and we got
Mm.
the Cobra Kai TV show. That's fine. That's fine. But you can't tarnish the memories of my youth watching this movie for the first time. So Daniel Russo, you are my number one.
I'd like to throw out, by the way, that people say it was an illegal kick, but several times Daniel gets kicked in the face, and they're given a point for it. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with him getting a point for kicking somebody in the face, also. So
That's right.
very good choice. Very good
It's,
choice.
so, I mean, some questionable refereeing in this, for sure. But
I didn't even think about this one. I should have, but this is a really good one, Charlie.
I'm surprised you didn't see this in theaters. You saw this on HBO.
yeah, yeah. No, this was this was old. It's not old. It's '84. I was way too young for the theaters for this one. Um,
I saw all of them in theaters.
Charlie
you
wasn't even
didn't see
born yet.
'84. I wasn't even born in '84, bro. I watched this on for the first time on DVD.
Oh, on DVD.
on DVD.
He
My
saw it on
dad's like,
streaming at first.
I had to watch this on a VHS. I'm like, Dad, what's a VHS? What are you even talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what's a VCR? I don't. It's a bunch of weird letters. Crane kick.
All right, Tudong, what's your number one?
My number one, I always like I was saying, I'm going for the worst and the worst and the worst. And one of the worst things I could possibly imagine is getting torn up from the inside. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Freddy Krueger's death. I'm not
Mm.
going to say that what happens before to lead up to this makes any sense because it's a stupid dream, like
It's a
whatever it is,
weird
evil
gif.
shall see itself and it'll die. I don't care. Either way, it goes right into the souls, and then those souls pull him to pieces. And that seems so horribly painful. Worse than an alien eating you from the outside. Worse than having your arms ripped off and then falling hundreds of feet, which I think is truly horrific. Being torn apart from the inside out, it's not like you could take a couple of like Alka-Seltzer or some Tums. There's nothing you can do. Your insides are tearing up your outsides. They're grabbing up. You see Barb like from his a hand is sticking out from his head.
Yeah.
It's grabbing different things, and it eventually pulls him completely apart. Does he deserve it? Absolutely. Absolute trash, killing poor innocent kids and haunting them in their dreams. But does he deserve to be torn apart in the worst way possible? Absolutely. And this has got to be one of the most painful ways I've seen a movie character die, being torn apart from the inside out, literally just gross and fantastic. And I was just like, yeah, you deserve that, you trash. That was a fake one, like Charlie used to do.
Oh, I hate
I
that
did not.
gif, but I can't stop watching it.
It's funny because I hate your number three gift too, and I really stopped watching that one. I was like, nope, not anymore. That's ridiculous. This, on the
This,
other
this,
hand, is okay.
this is a good pick. Yeah, this is a good pick.
Oh, gross.
Brody,
All right.
I cannot wait to see the tongue. Pull out the
Yeah,
tongue.
come on.
All right. My number three. No, my number one, not number three. My number one is from a franchise where this person was the bad guy for only one of those movies. Big franchise. You guys have any thoughts?
Is it going to be like MCU stuff?
Come on, give me something. Give me something.
Uh, 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 uh,
Okay, I'll say MCU then. Iron Man maybe.
the shark in Jaws, they blew up.
Trilogy.
Terrible comeuppance. It's a poor animal. It was just hungry.
No. Nope.
Oh, Harry Potter. Oh, I should have
It's
known. You love Harry Potter.
Umbridge. Umbridge.
Dolores.
Oh
She doesn't
my
get killed.
goodness. Umbridge.
Doesn't get
Like,
killed.
so I saw this movie before I read the book. And so I
Harry.
I went into this movie not knowing this character and kind of what happens. And man, I hated her so bad through this whole movie. She is so mean. Like child abuse mean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
having these kids write out things that are then getting just like cut into their hands, and the racism that she's got towards the centaurs and all this stuff. She's horrible. And so finally when she gets pulled out into the woods and the centaurs of all people come and take her away, oh, it was so good. I'm like, yes, she's gone. Now she didn't
Now,
die because she comes back and she's,
what do you think happened to her
I don't
when they
know.
took
There's
her away? Because they didn't
I
kill
think
her.
she fell in love. She fell in love. There's a whole lost book series where she has a centaur lover, and it's called
Nice.
Scent of Her Lover. Centaur of Her Lover. There's something there.
maybe. I don't know. There's some like theories out there that go kind of dark. Um but she winds up back at the Ministry of Magic, so she didn't die and the centaurs didn't kill
Yeah.
her. But I
That's
would
why I
like to
didn't think
think that they traumatized her somehow. They did something to this woman who was simply like I forgot all about Voldemort in this movie because she was so bad. She was
Yeah.
such a bad person. I was like, she's the new villain. She's worse than Voldemort. I want this lady to get a comeuppance, and the centaurs just swarmed around her and grabbed her and carried her off into the forbidden forest. And I felt so good, and I was so like at peace once she was gone because she was so horrible and I
Yeah.
hated her so
Mhm.
much.
The only reason she didn't make my list is because I mean, we don't see her with, like, an eye patch, a scar, she's not missing an arm or a leg or
Yeah,
anything. What happened? It's not enough. They
don't
shoulda
know.
torn her arms off Richter style. They should have made her
Richter.
insides come out and rip her face apart like they did Freddy Krueger style.
Yeah, I think it would have been neat, like the
Of
next
his
time we saw
body.
her, if there was some like remnant of a centaur attack, like a missing
Like,
Like
arm or something.
like
even if she lost
a
her
hoof
mind.
scar.
Yeah, just a giant hoof scar right there, right over her eye. That would be
Like,
good.
it's like she had been, like, with a cane or somebody was, like, helping her, they're like, "She lost her mind, she can't even we she needs a caregiver to help her out here." Even that would be enough. I'd be like, "Good, she's been traumatized, something."
It's true. It's true.
Probably
Even
just would have been
And
better to not bring her back at all. It probably would have been the
that all they should have never brought her back. Those centaurs should have eaten her.
they should have. They should have. And so this isn't so much like on the level of severity of the comeuppance, but the fact that like I hated her so much and then felt so relieved for everybody else in the movie because
Yeah,
she got what she had coming to her,
yeah.
which we don't
yeah.
know. We don't know what happened.
But it could be anything.
Could be anything. Did you guys have any honorable mentions?
Well, I want to hear the one you said you had one on your
Yeah.
list, and then you teased it, and then you took it off your list. So I mean,
I did.
the people have been waiting. They're only watching still to hear this shocking twist.
So the one that got put on and then I ended up taking off was the vice principal in Uncle Buck, where she just like gets really mad and is so mean to Uncle Buck's niece and calls her like a dreamer and she doesn't take her 6th grade school career seriously. And then Uncle Buck, John Candy, like goes into this speech about like
I love
how he hasn't, he doesn't want to know a 6th grader who takes their school career happy, and he says, if you so much as scowl at my niece or any other kid at this school and I hear about it, I'll be back for you. And then he pulls out the quarter and
quarter,
flips it
yeah.
to her and says, here's a quarter, take it downtown and have that rat gnaw that thing off your face, because she had a big like mole thing. And I think that was like an early memory. It might, maybe
Yeah.
because like I watched it when I was in school, and so having somebody like stand up for a kid to a really mean teacher, and her face of just like nobody's ever talked to me this way. It was definitely like it was just a scene, right? And she wasn't in it for very long, but it was just like this. Yes, John can't, like even like the kid sitting outside who's hearing it, and you can see his eyes getting wide, and you're just like, yes, like for every kid at that school that's had to deal with this lady, I'm so glad that Uncle Buck stepped in and put her in her place.
Yeah. She took it out on the very next kid who came in and saw it.
Can I confess something to you guys? I have never seen Uncle Buck.
Really?
What?
That is a
Really?
movie that slipped through the cracks of my existence.
Oh
Wow.
goodness.
Oh,
So I feel a degree of shame, and now that I know that he says something about a rat eating a mole off of a teacher's face, I feel like I do need to watch it
Oh
to
man,
honor
yeah.
that.
it's
Yeah,
really
I
good.
I I I love this scene where, like, he's getting his niece, and she's with, like, her boyfriend or something like that, and he's like, "Yeah, I have I sometimes, like, when there's a bug or something or like, the guy's name is Nat or Bug or something along
Yeah.
those lines." He's like, "Yeah, oh, no, his name's Bug," and so, like, he's like, "Yeah, I've got this axe that I always just hack up these bugs,
Come
Bug
here,
or
come
Nat."
take a look at
Bug,
it.
Nat,
Look
maybe there's a
at it. It's in his
correlation here.
trunk.
Yeah, like, "I got it right here.
Come look. Come here.
Here, take
So
a look."
that's
I was
such a
like,
good movie. Oh, that's such a good movie. Charlie, I'm very surprised you've never seen that. But
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone out there.
that's all
Um,
right. That's all right.
"We
so
forgive
some that almost made my list. I like all of the Nazis who had their faces melted off in the Raiders. That was a very satisfying
you."
scene. I did enjoy that. I thought about like the yellow bastard from Sin City, but it just wasn't like even though he was getting like stomped to like death, it just still didn't feel like enough for how vile of a character that was. Um, uh,
That's a
Inglorious
good
Bast
one.
speaking of bastards, Inglorious Bastards, like
On
Hans,
Wanda.
Really,
like
any Nazis, right? Any
yeah,
Nazis.
really any Nazis. Scar from The Lion King.
I thought about that one. That one almost made my list. Just getting torn apart by the
What
hyenas.
about poor Newman from Jurassic Park getting a
That almost came to mind.
I
Yeah,
thought
that came
about
to
that
mind.
one as well.
Mhm. I was like,
and
"You're stupid."
it made me really appreciate as I was thinking through this list, it did really make me appreciate actors who are able like to make the villain and seem so like whether it's more human through portrayal or just like Alan Rickman in Die Hard, you know, like just
Yeah.
like there's
Yeah.
it's good he's not a good person, but also like ah man poor Alan falling falling from the window. Just that he's
Mhm.
able to kind of craft a character that's interesting enough that you're not like just like oh good he got what he deserved. It's like Alan in a different world we could have been friends.
We did.
No, those are all
I'm
good.
glad I'm not the only one. I was, like, kind of ashamed because I was like, "I didn't know if we should deserve these. He's not that bad. Come on.
He's not
He's
that
not a
bad.
terrorist. He's a thief. So
It's just a thief,
charismatic."
you know.
All right. Well, you guys have anything else to add to this?
This
Comprehensive.
is a fun one, and I would encourage you if you guys are watching. These are fun, like just things to think through, right? You can kind of come
Mm,
up with your own list. This is kind of like the old I call them bar arguments. You just we can,
Yeah.
for us Denny's arguments where we
Yep.
sit around and be like just arguing about ah no she deserved it no he deserved it and maybe we'll do another one where characters didn't get what they deserved because they're as thinking through
Ooh.
this list it
yeah.
reminded me of movies where I'm still angry that characters were vile and evil just like kind of were like doo, 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 see ya I'm gonna go have a happy life and we never saw them again. This was fun, a fun intellectual exercise. I would encourage you guys to go through it. And if you do go through it, hit us up in the comments. Let us know some of your favorite movie comeuppance, maybe some TV comeuppance to inspire the boys to maybe watch a television show here or there. I say boys, Brody. Look, I'm just trying not to single you out, but come on, watch a TV show. And let us know in the comments who you think is cooler, Watson or Sherlock Holmes. What's
Mm.
more of a compliment,
Watson.
being a
Watson
brilliant
was
detective
cooler.
or a
There's always
guy
Mrs. Hudson.
who
Mrs.
is
Hudson,
like
don't forget, she
is
makes the
often
tea for
insulted by
these
the detective.
guys.
Yeah, Hudson's cool. Hudson's cool. And we'll see you next time. Like and subscribe.
Bye.